Hey folks, Quill18 here, and welcome to another League of Legends commentary. I've been having a lot of fun lately playing some LOL, and figured I should do some commentaries of some of my games, just like old times. I'm here playing as Blitzcrank, one of my favorite champions in the game. Always so much fun. This is, of course, not a high-level game in any way whatsoever. Lots of noobs, lots of just goofballs and stuff, which means Blitzcrank is a fantastic champion to play, because low-level players, well, I mean, these are level 30 players, but these are not high elo players, have a very hard time dealing with the grab. I've also always said that in these games are not generally determined by who has the best carry or the best support. Almost always in these sort of mid-elo games, and this applies to other MOBAs as well, like Dota and Han, it tends to come down to who has the best initiation. Here we've already got a little argument on our team about who gets to play mid. Derp, 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 derp. They eventually figure it out. But yeah, the team with the best initiation tends to do it. And what I like about Blitzcrank is sometimes when you play an initiator and you jump in the middle of a group of enemies, your team may not follow you. I guess I can move around with the arrow keys here. All right. Your team may not follow you, and then you just die. So what I like about Blitz is you initiate by pulling the enemy to you, and then your team just sort of gangbangs that one guy who's all on his lonesome. Here you can see I've actually already kind of made a mistake here. I always with Blitz start with Power Fist first, for a lot of reasons. I feel that it tends to be much stronger defensively early on. It's really cheap, doesn't take a lot of mana. Every now and again you might use it for a last hit. And I just feel like if you start with the grab in a normal laning situation, it's very rare that you'll be able to combo that into a kill without the 1-2 combo of your grab plus punch. However, here, I should have not spent my skill point right away, and because I should have waited to see if they were going to try something like this. Mundo's been playing extremely aggressively, and there are many situations here where we may have been able to grab him and pull him into the tower, especially with a little mini stun from Pantheon. It would have been simply fantastic. And so, in hindsight, I should really wait until the last possible minute to spend my skill. The laning phase, not a whole lot to talk about. Looks like in mid, of course, we still have two people down here. If you're wondering why there's no health bars visible, is because the way that the replay recordings happen in League of Legends, because there's no built-in recording, you don't see the health bars anywhere where you're not looking. So I can see the health bars here because I could see them while I was playing the game. It is simply, I'm still kind of appalled by the fact that Riot hasn't implemented proper replay support in their game after this long. It was one of the things that they had on their development list during the beta. They said, coming soon, replays, and built-in tournament support and clan support, and I still am rather annoyed. Has Jarvan really been soloing top this entire time while we have two mid? Really? Obviously not a pro-level game, which is what I was saying before. Clearly. Oh my god, that is just terrible. But yeah, the client thing. The fact of the matter is, League of Legends is so much fun to play. And it can very much exceed some of the other MOBAs in pure fun, but it drives me crazy how bad their client is. There we go, grab! How did that not grab her? It sure as heck looked like the graphic touched her. I think at some point they did change the area effect on those grabs. I know, I'm missing all the fights. I think they changed the area effects on some of these spells. Like, the Janus Tornado used to have a huge area that it hit, and I think they made it so it's more or less just the middle of the effect that has it. And I feel like the same thing's happened with the punch, because there's plenty of time when the graphic of the fist intersects with the graphic of the champion and it's still not a grab. Nonetheless, you have to do these sorts of really long-range grabs as often as possible with Blitz, because they're not going to walk right up to you, obviously, right? So you really have to work the edge situation where it's going to be one pixel either way, whether you pull off the grab or not. And when you pull them off, then it's amazing. You get a kill. When you don't pull them off, well, it does cost you a little bit of mana. Luckily, you are incentivized to get mana as Blitz a lot of the time. In case you're wondering, in case you're new to my commentaries here, I don't generally commentate, especially at the beginning of the game itself. I like to talk more about strategy, so it's not, I don't really focus to get those, those first bloods type of thing in the other lanes. I really want to talk about the character I'm playing, the decisions I'm trying to make, and I actually really like when people give me feedback about those, because I learn, but then people who are, if it's possible for anyone in the universe to be more noob than I, then hopefully they can pick up a little something from me. And if I say anything wrong, just look in the comments down below. People will be sure to clarify all that. This is kind of an interesting lane up here. I'm not used to seeing a whole lot of Mundo in general. Like, if I'm watching tournament play, for example, and God, I have to say that the tournament play for League of Legends is actually pretty thrilling. A lot of people who judge different MOBAs don't judge it on the right level all the time. Like, the play you're going to see here in this game is just awful, right? Just terrible. But tournament level League of Legends is so freaking amazing. It is actually incredible. But I don't think Dr. Mundo gets a lot of love in tournament level play, which is a shame. And in fact, if this were like proper metagame stuff, this bottom lane would be Ashe plus a really good support. Maybe Taric might be a really good a fit for her, since she does have a slow but no CC until level 6. So Taric with a stun might be a good idea, plus the heal and sustain and all that, and just keep her in lane as long as possible. Soraka might also be good. Well, probably just about anyone, but I think Taric is a really good combo for her. I'm willing to bet Alistar's another great combo. Whereas here with Pantheon, if I'd played Janna or Soraka, that would have been an excellent, excellent pick. Not that I think it's going to go too badly with Blitzcrank, who I am going to play in more of a support role. I'm going to max out my Q more, so I've got longer cooldowns. I think, are we not trying something here? I'm not sure. Apparently not. That seemed like a perfect opportunity for a grab. How strange, how odd. I wish I could see the health. I don't think... maybe that is his health if I click on there. I'm not entirely sure if that's accurate. Uh-oh, Mundo coming in for the kill. If that's his health, he's in big freaking trouble. Yeah, looks like he's going to go down and deceased. Meanwhile, up here, I still never went for that grab. So, item-wise, on Blitz... Actually, I'll finish talking about the abilities. I've gone back and forth in all kinds of builds. These days, I do max out Rocket Grab completely. I like to get one of everything. The Power Fist is really important, and getting one of Overdrive does help for a little bit of movement boost, because you do need to catch people. But the Q, I find the burst damage from it is really good, and the reduced cooldown helps a lot. If you do miss a grab, well, it comes up again pretty soon for another surprise grab, so that's what I do. I max it out as soon as possible, obviously getting my ultimate whenever that comes up, because it is so stupendously good. In fact, it's really, I find that Blitz can have a kind of a hard time farming early on, unless you really start to abuse the Q. And in lane like this, I tend to give the farm to the more carry person. Here, I'm mostly just trying to scare her because Pantheon wasn't really in position to do anything, and she's right next to her tower. It almost makes almost no point in doing anything there. She does have a flash and a heal at that, actually, so she's going to be kind of tough to kill. But here, the grab, the punch, after the perfect initiation there. Oh, but I don't actually land the punch auto attack, which can happen sometimes. He is supposed to swing pretty quickly after a grab, but sometimes I might have been mid-move and don't actually land the punch. It's really frustrating when that happens, because that, well, it may have been a kill. Again, she still had that flash, and I think she healed as well, but she has at least burned all those spells, so that's pretty good. And almost going to level up. So I was saying about the farming, especially early on, I'm giving the kills to someone else in my lane often. But then later on, once I get my ultimate, then it starts to become considerably more feasible to farm that out. I'm surprised he didn't chase there. If you're going to ignite her, you should chase her. If you're not going to chase her, don't ignite her. Very strange. Oh, nice and there on Master Yi. I think that might result in a kill. So weird without the health bars. So not much going on down here, but healing. I should talk about the items I usually get. I always start with the Sapphire Crystal. Not always, but generally it's the build I've been going with. The Sapphire Crystal for a couple of reasons. One, I do need the deeper mana pool. You know, in case I missed a grab or two, it'll give me just enough that hopefully I'll still be able to get a grab punch combo off at some point. And it also helps with my passive, which gives me a mana barrier equal to my current mana. So the deeper your mana pool, the better that is. It makes you durable in an indirect way. Also, I've always considered one of the key items to build on Blitzcrank is a Sheen. He's got such a short cooldown, especially with his punch, but generally he's going to be spamming spells quite a bit once he gets up close, and being able to augment his auto attack damage like that is pretty strong. And that's the sort of thing that really does apply to a lot of people. But Blitz isn't going to get a lot of opportunities to increase his damage, and it synergizes pretty well with the short cooldown on this, especially once you level it up. It gets down to like 4 seconds, maybe 3 seconds with cooldown reduction. So that it starts to count for a lot. And later on, building the Trinity Force doesn't hurt, but that's more of a luxury item. I do get the Sheen pretty early. Boots-wise, I'm a little undecided still. I have been getting the Boots of Swiftness, just for the combat speed. That way I can chase in combat to land that Power Fist is pretty good. I think the boots of mobility are also pretty strong and enable a much more ganky type strategy. So if you're really comfortable with doing a lot of roaming and leaving your bottom character alone, it's very, very possible. I think if I was on a more coordinated team, if we were all on voice chat, then boots of mobility and coordinated ganks might be the way to go. That being said, swiftness is still pretty fast, and I can almost duplicate the boots of mobility effect by using my overdrive. And then after that, there's actually a lot of flexibility. I believe in this game, given how much physical damage that they're going to be rocking, I'm probably going to be picking up a Frozen Heart. Again, you get lots of things that synergize really well with Blitzcrank. Oh, was Jarvan coming up here for a gank? I just happened to be walking around because I have a ward, which I was going to place down here and then maybe get a gank on Dr. Mundo, which is actually kind of hard to do, but Jarvan just like set that up really, really nicely for us. Everything's on cooldown, which segues nicely into the Frozen Heart discussion again. Again, it gives me mana, it gives me armor, which is very nice against a physical team like that. Once you complete it, you do get a great aura to shut down physical people, but it also gives me cooldown reduction, which is really important on Blitz, and I don't always have the opportunity to take advantage of that. And altogether, it's a package that synergizes well with him. Because you do tend to initiate, often you do get opened up on, and it can be very easy to get in position with Blitz where you're dying quite a bit. You pull someone in, and they kill you right away. And yeah, your team might kind of come out ahead after that, but you are not getting much in the way of kills, and you're always being stuck waiting for the res timer, and you're a little underdeveloped. So getting those tank items really, really help. I like to get the Banshee's Veil is quite popular as well. And yeah, if I make a lot of money, then I do go ahead and get the Trinity Force. It works well with a lot of things. My punch only comes up so often, so being able to combo it with the slow is good. A little extra health is always good. The Zeal actually helps with the movement speed boost, just a little thing. I suppose the Force of Nature would also be a good item for that, because it gives me the extra movement speed, but I don't think the rest of it is that critical. I mean, it is a lot of magic resist, and I guess the health regen is helpful. You know, there are no items that are bad, but I can't recall a game where I ended up building one of those. And then I don't know, some of the activated defensive items. I suppose you could go with a GP5 build where you're picking up like a Heart of Gold, for example. Which nicely can be upgraded into a lot of things these days. That's awfully nice. So depending on what kind of farm you get. But again, once I hit level 6, I find that I do get a lot of opportunity to get some farm. It's just that early game that's really, really hard. That's why I'm not too terribly shy to use my Power Fist to try to get a last hit from time to time. It's cheap enough and makes it pretty easy to land. Oh god, Pantheon, be careful. I don't know if there's anything that can be done here. A little defensive silence. Can I punch her too? There we go, the silence. Oh, Ash Arrow goes nowhere, but again, the Ash Arrow is very much like the Blitzcrank punch. You just, a little bit of a pull into tower range there, because why not? Also, just applying a little bit of damage, mini stun, that sort of thing. Worked out, we got a kill there, and in fact, if we'd been a little more aggressive here, I might have been able to get a kill on her as well. So yeah, we do get to see Jarvan here, because I do have that ward. Great spot for a ward, especially in the laning phase. Later on, the value of that spot becomes a lot less. That is really annoying. Pantheon was ranging about this a little later on Skype. Oh god, now we're in trouble. The idea that her going stealth stops his ability from completing. Yeah, that worked out really bad for us. We vastly overextended there, especially knowing that Jarvan was around. That was just a poor strategic decision from start to finish. Item-wise, some people may want to see what builds people are going for. Pantheon has got Boots 1 and a BF Sword. That is a dedicated build. Save up until I get some more damage. Warwick is actually doing pretty well here. He's got lots of attack speed, 46 creep kills, which is actually the best in the game. So he's been jungling well, but also farming top. Although, is LeBlanc hurting for farm? A little bit, yeah. In fact, I've got more creep kills than Pantheon, so I've been doing something wrong here by taking too many last hits, unfortunately. Mundo hasn't been doing great. Theoretically, that should mean that Ashe ends up with a lot more, but he hasn't been getting a whole lot either. They may have been getting zoned out a little bit by Blitzcrank, and that's the biggest thing with Blitzcrank, is just the fear factor. You grab someone once, and they are terrified for the rest of the phase, the rest of the laning phase, and possibly the rest of the game, in fact. You know you've done a good job if you get to the late game and everyone's got a Banshee's Veil, which does suck for you. And I don't think they would get it just to shut down one character, but having a Blitzcrank on a team is a high incentive to get a Banshee's Veil regardless, and it always helps a little. It'll give you some extra protection against things that some other people will do as well. Nice little shutdown there, appreciate that. But yeah, you're very vulnerable to that. On the other hand, your grab does have a really long range. Once they've got the Banshee's Veil, then they start to get a little bit more cocky, and I just get to the point where I start popping people with the rocket grab to knock off their Banshee's Veil for other people's effects. Plus, the cooldown starts to become really short. Like, already, it's below 14 seconds because of a little bit of cooldown reduction. And I don't even have an item that reduces my cooldown, so that's just, I'm going to say ruins. It's possible masteries as well. I do have a utility build. I think it's a 9021 build. And the runes are going to be MP5, possibly some cooldown reduction, and the quints are probably some health. Find hit points really make a huge difference, especially if you're not an expert. Thing is, the better you get to a game, oh, poor guy. The better you get at this game or any game, the more you can do with sort of less health, because you can read the situation better. You can read the threats better. But when you're starting out, the most powerful thing you can do is make sure you start the game with a good number of hit points. Here, I'm going to try to defend Kassadin. Looks totally unnecessary. I don't even have to turn around and punch anyone. Who did that hit? Did I hit a minion? Maybe it didn't hit anyone. Odd. What was I saying? Oh yeah, but if you're newer to the game, the best thing you can do is increase your hit points as much as possible, even early on in the laning phase. And in fact, possibly the most early on in the laning phase, because you just need to be able to survive the random crap that people are going to throw at you when you don't really know what their potential damage output is. You know, this is incredibly dangerous. Although I did charge up my fist before going in there, so I would have been able to get a stun off. Did seem like it was worth doing. Oh, nice little dodge there. Oh, does hit her. And now she's going to die. That is a nice arrow, Ash. Good prediction. Now, as I was saying, once you get better in the game, you're going to want to sort of play with those margins as much as possible, and you're going to want to focus on, you know, maybe starting with boots so that you can get some ganks. So you're going to get some extra damage or some extra mana sustain, depending on what role you're playing in. And luckily, the Dorn's items, like Dorn's rings, are so good for increasing your survivability. Yes, get the hell out of there. Yeah, I turn around here because I'm like, there's no way I can escape her, and hopefully I can get... Oh, God. Oh, that's nice. There's still no way for me to escape. I should have just thrown my punch out here, and probably would have been able to kill her. If anything, she would have been brought within tower range. She may not have had aggro because the minions, though. So close to doing something really awesome. I don't remember if I finished my stream of thought, but the Dorn items are really good. The Dorn's ring or the Dorn's blade early on as a first item is excellent because they give you all kinds of good things, and don't be shy about getting more than one of them. I think that's become much more common because as the pro level League of Legends games get more and more televised, people see this more frequently, and they see that this is the sort of thing that the pros do, and it's trickled down into the regular gameplay. But even here, if we look and see, does anyone have a single Dorn's item? Ah, LeBlanc does. She has 2 Dorn's rings. Kassadin had one. Another team, 2 Dorn's blades. Okay, so it definitely has trickled down at this point. But I remember seeing my first tournament and seeing someone with like 3 Dorn's rings on a Janna. I was like, oh, that's brilliant! Because you don't have a lot of money as a pure carry. You shouldn't be getting, or pure support. You shouldn't be getting any last hits. You won't have a lot of money. And so you've got to get items that are really cost effective. They use up a lot of slots. I'm pretty sure you're dead. They use up a lot of item slots, but they, but the cost, the stuff you get for the cost is really good. So late game, you start selling them off to free up slots to get some other items that are just give you more power per slot. But early game, very good for your money. And what's important is that they do have that health aspect for the Dorn's ring. If you're playing a caster, you get to 2 or 3 of those, you're actually pretty tanky. Plus you've got regen and some respectable amount of AP. Now, if you're playing mid and you're getting a lot of farm, that may not be the best thing to do. Maybe you end up starting with one. I take the arrow like a boss. Hopefully Pantheon can get away. Looks like... I don't think he will, actually. He's constantly slowed. Indeed, he does. Can I save myself in the tower? It looks like no. Game score is almost equalized at this point. And Warwick, however, is pushing the turrets. It'd be nice if we get the tournament mode gold display. There may be a way to pull those up, but I don't know. I don't know how to do that. No, I guess there wouldn't be, actually. Because the replay only shows you the game from your point of view, so you wouldn't be able to know exactly what the other team had. Anyway, looks like Kali's doing well. Good score. She does have not the hugest items, though.